in our industry, we are blessed with the challenge of literally having to communicate with every single possible personality type out there. I mean, the power of personality science in real estate, and frankly, in any professional medium, is so gigantic that most of these major Fortune 500 companies have entire departments dedicated to what we do. You will look so damn good to that client that there ain't no way that they're going to fall in love with you and give you a referral.
I know the world is laughing right about now, but today I am here with none other than Jay Groah and with myYenta, but we are, Euphegina, Euphegina,
I love.
Euphegenia. Inspire. Euphegenia. What's going on today, Jay?
Hello, love. How are you?
Oh, I am doing fabulous. And I believe the last time that I saw you, we were at the Realtor Legislative meetings and you were on the conference floor, but a fellow real estate educator came to get me because they thought that myYenta would be a great match for some of the things in which I do in the world of real estate, which is why you are here today.
Well, and we're both absolutely fabulous, lovely ladies, aren't we?
Yes, we absolutely are. And we had the most fabulous conversation. Now, I needed you to explain a couple of terms to everybody here. The first one is myYenta.
Absolutely, love. So, it's all right if I just strip? Are we okay if I strip?
Oh, honey, take it all off because it's getting hot in here. Yes.
It's so hot in here. Well, God bless you, ladies. I swear, getting ready for this is, and I am not that gay that does the makeups and the stuff and the insanity. And it's just exhausting what you ladies have to do in order to make yourselves look all appropriate for society. So folks, first off, Marky, thank you so much for having me on. I know I told you this when I saw you. I am a humongous fangirl of yours. Have followed you for years. I think you are amazing.
Thank you.
myYenta, right?
Yes.
What you asked?
Yes, I want to know what that is.
Okay, so myYenta is a Yiddish term, and it means essentially, it's used to refer to traditionally a little older lady who is well-versed in the comings and goings of a community, almost a know-it-all, and often associated with matchmaking. So when we came up with the idea for myYenta, which is a service that helps professionals to communicate on a whole nother level with their clientele, immediately my brain went to these little old ladies who I remember from, time in the city and growing up, just sitting on the corner, just knowing what was going on with absolutely everything and helping people to come together on so many different ways.
Excellent. And that's what we need in the almighty world of real estate. So how does myYenta help real estate professionals?
So we are a bit of software. And essentially what we're designed to do is we're designed to help the real estate professional communicate on a whole nother level. So when you are in that initial phase of getting to know your client, Marky, right? You have that sort of awkward moment where, hey, my natural personality is what you're getting right now. Okay. I'm a big personality. It's why you and I get along. Okay. We're not exactly tiny people, although we're not physically very big. I like to think that emotionally and magnetically, gosh, I'm a juggernaut, right? So I have a tendency of steamrolling over absolutely every single conversation that I have, okay? And that includes with clients. Now, I've been a real estate practitioner for almost 20 years. Straight out of college, it was like, boom, real estate is my home, right? And what I realized very early on was that, hey, some people don't want Steamroller J. Some people need the Jay Groah that's got multiple degrees, because even though I don't walk around like it, hey, I do. I'm actually Dr. J, and I've got multiple degrees and can speak to people at high intellectual levels, and I can slow down if I need to, although that you can ask anybody in my life, it actually does get exhausting for me. And what we said was, hey, what if you knew that about the client before you ever even met them, right? So you knew that right off the bat, hey, these people are not going to be, hey, Jay, you're typical, you want to walk up and give them hugs. They're going to want a nice, polite, firm handshake. They're going to want you to look them directly in the eye, and they're going to want you to speak to them in a calm, clear, and concise manner. They're not going to want crazy me. And that's okay, right? We've discussed this before. There is a but for every seat in the real estate community, right? There is a personality type for every single client out there. And we pride ourselves in the real estate community about being chameleons and doing things in order to make it work, right? Make that client comfortable. Well, myYenta affords the professional, and we are focused primarily on the real estate industry right now, affords the professional the ability to know what that client wants and needs before you ever even meet.
So that does take me back because we did have a discussion about the chameleon, and I shared with you my 2 years that I was a pharmaceutical sales rep at Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. And one thing that I was told very early on was that it was my responsibility to be like a chameleon when I walked into a doctor's office. The doctor did not have to pivot their personality to me. It was my responsibility to pivot my personality to the doctor. So at the time, we had these laptops and we would be out in the field and we would go back and we would look at our different lab partners, what their notes were on said doctor. But what I was clear about was that a orthopedic surgeon had one personality. Somebody who worked in neurology had a different personality. And then primary care, right? Primary care had a totally different personality. Now, we're talking about all doctors, but there is definitely a specific doctor type. And I will tell you, orthopedic surgeons were a little bit arrogant, had these really fast cars. They were a little different than any anesthesiologist. It was just all over the place for personalities. So we would look at our little notes, which we had to document our notes, and then we would pivot our personality to the doctor that we were going in to see. Well, it wasn't until I came back into real estate that I did my first DISC personality test. And it told me a lot about myself. But in it telling me a lot about myself, the same way you know about yourself, it told me why I act a certain way towards other people, right? What I like, what I dislike, being a high DI, right? I'm direct. Everybody doesn't want it direct. Sometimes you have to sugarcoat it, right?
Yep.
And so recently, I got mad at my investment banker. And I got mad because he told me about how he likes to communicate. And I had to remind him, I don't work for you. You work for me. Your preferred communication style is not the style that will keep my business because I don't like communicating that way. Mm-hmm. And I had to tell him this scenario. I work with 100 plus CEOs every year. I personally do not like talking on the telephone, but I afford every CEO that I work with multiple opportunities to talk to me on the telephone if that is their preferred method of communicating, even though it's not mine.
You've literally just explained my program in the most effective way possible, Marky. We actually, in the real estate industry, have an even bigger challenge than you did as a pharmaceutical rep because we are dealing with 100% of the world's population. You are dealing with your doctors, you are dealing with your industry execs, and you are dealing with your trim carpenter. So in our industry, we are blessed with the challenge of literally having to communicate with every single possible personality type out there. This is why I get, and forgive the French here, I get beeping pissed when people discount a realtor's intelligence, because I look and say, emotionally, I realize that because we are an industry that literally anyone can get into, yes, you do not need a degree. And most of the best realtors I deal with do not have college degrees. They are utterly brilliant emotionally and utterly brilliant disciplined wise. And they have created massive businesses because they understand that we are dealing with absolutely every personality type. And just like you told your investment banker, hey, I'm not modifying myself to be with you. I am the client. So you need to go ahead and understand how I prefer to be communicated with. Otherwise, frankly, I'm going to find someone that does. Because that's a great thing, right?
But let me tell you how short-sighted it was, because I get mad every time I think about it, right?
Oh boy.
The reason is he was looking solely at my investment accounts. He hasn't thought about the fact that I've been at the bank for over 20 years and I've been self-employed. That means that all of my revenue, annual revenue, goes through this bank. In addition, the 2 top credit cards that I use are also backed by this bank. So you get any fees but my spending for my company. And I said, the nerve that he thinks I gotta talk to him the way. And let me say, it wasn't that I was being disrespectful or inconsiderate. I prefer email communication.
Yeah.
He likes to get on the phone. Well, if I get on the phone with him, guess what? I need to be sitting at my computer because I need to talk about which account, this account, that account, the other account, the old account. And I'm like, dude, every time I talk to you, it forces me to have to sit in my office where if I do an email, I get to do the research as I desire to do it and then communicate with you in that way. So needless to say, I'm getting a new investment banker.
There you go. There you go. You literally, how I came up with the idea for Yenta, Marky, was through my own botched real estate experience. You know, my husband and I were moving down to the DC metro area, and I was not licensed in the DC metro area yet. So our very good friend who knew both of us very well and knew me especially well, or I thought she did, hooked us up with her realtor. And her realtor was this huge personality, big producing agent, lots of great, like she was nuts and I loved her, right? So my friend thought, well, Jay's a big personality. X is a big personality. Jay's a big realtor. X is a big realtor. They're gonna get along great. But what a lot of people don't realize about me is that inside of all of this insanity is a scientist. So my degrees are in the sciences and languages. So I am a very cut and dry, organized, disciplined human being. I like things in little boxes, organized, and I am freakishly on time everywhere. And I have to have all the data before I can ever make a decision. Well, my poor realtor at the time had no idea. So when she came to our first set of condos, she was half an hour late. She flew in her adorable little sports car, stepped out with her hair kind of frizzled, and she had this big stack of papers that were a mess. She had no idea where the lock boxes were. She just literally was this great, wonderful human being. For friends now, okay? And ultimately what I said was my friend tried to hook us up because she thought that these 2 big personalities would mesh. Well, if that realtor had used myYenta in our initial buyer consult, right? And that's how we propose and we train our clients is we say, hey, use myYenta before you ever even meet up with this particular client while you're trying to get them as a client, right? Because then you understand how to communicate. If she had known how I preferred to be communicated with, and our reports will detail it as far as, Jay is ultra organized. Jay is ultra, I'm an ultra high I, but there's actually a lot of SC in me if you're looking on the DISC scale, right?
Yeah.
And I love information. I love data, and I'm a data-driven decision maker. I don't present that way. And honestly, I have fooled realtors who have had 30 years in the business that literally will tell me, oh, Jay, I don't need myYenta because I'm a brilliant chameleon. And I'm like, I'm sure you are. So how would you deal with me? And they describe how they would deal with me. And I'm like, nope. Said, actually, I need 1 day before the showing, I need all of my MLS data sheets sent to me via Dropbox or via text so that I can review everything before I ever step through the door. You better be on time. And on time is 5 minutes before the showing. I said, if you're on time, you're late. I said, know your stuff before you ever walk through the door, even if you've never shown it before. And so I don't necessarily present in the way that I think. And that is where the power of a behavioral analysis software comes into play. And so we developed myYenta exclusively for the real estate industry at that time because I had just had this botched real estate experience. I feel bad because in the end, it was a $400,000 condo that I didn't end up buying through that realtor. So again, there was some money that was lost on her part because she didn't know how to communicate with me in the most effective, efficient, and way that I wanted to.
Now, there's two things that come from there, what you just said. The first one is, did she recognize that she likely would have never been good to work with you? And the reason I say this, because I'm going to make an assumption she was consistently late in her life. So when we think about our fiduciary responsibilities and the fact that we owe a client our undivided loyalty, putting their needs and their wants before our own, sometimes we have to, once we know what myYenta has, right, in regards to the personality, sometimes we have to admit that we aren't the best person. Let me give you my example. I used to hold the SRES designation from the National Association of Realtors, even taught the class. As I progressed,
what does that stand for, my dear?
Your senior real estate specialist. And so as I progressed more in leveraging technology, I instantly realized that my preferred communication style is not of that generation. I don't want to pick up the telephone and call you. I prefer to text you. Actually, email is my preferred method of communication. So get this. I let the designation go for a time in the future where everything will have changed anyway, that I would need to take the class likely again to possess those credentials once how I communicate is in alignment with that segment or that generation of people. But I was willing to admit that to myself. Marky, you're not going to do a good job because how you like to communicate is not the overall preference of this generation of people. You're going to do a piss poor job and you're not going to get great reviews. But let's go back to the personality. However, my son, who is 25 years younger than me, does very well communicating with seniors because still till this day, his preferred method of communicating is talking on the freaking telephone.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah, God bless him, right? I'm like, like he called me, he'll say, well, he just called today. I'm doing something. Like, we could solve this in one sentence text, child. I don't have to talk to you for 30 minutes, right?
Exactly.
And so we have to do that. But that's first. Acknowledging when your personality is not in strategic alignment with that personality, like the doctors. I left pharmaceutical sales.
Marcy, here's the power of leveraging technology in that regard, right? So if you Yenta a client and when you join up with our program, right, you obviously get your own Yenta personality analysis, right? So we know how you click with clients. And then if you are getting a Yenta report back and it tells you, hey, there's going to be a lot of speed bumps that you are, and our software never says you are not the right fit. It will say, here are the speed bumps that you are going to encounter, right? If there are too many speed bumps, what happens if you do not know that up front? Your client communication does not work and that client goes off and works with somebody else. If, however, you know up front that there are going to be major roadblocks that you are going to encounter with this client. I have a partner, my friend who introduced us. Okay. We are very different personality types. And if I have someone who I don't think I'm going to mesh with, I refer them to him. Or I'll refer them to another agent within my office or within the Keller Williams network. And I will still get paid, right? We do this because we love it, but this is ultimately still a business. So if you do not treat it as such and you just don't get that that client is not a fit, they're going to go work with someone who is a fit. Whereas if you understand that from the get-go, you can say, hey, listen, and this is where we're so powerful for teams, especially teams and brokerages. You get a lead in, and rather than just sending it on as team leader onto your buyer's agent, onto your listing rep, onto your this, you're going to Yenta that individual, and you're going to know, hey, maybe this one works great with Emily, or this one's going to work great with John, or this one's going to work great with Scott, but they're definitely not going to work great with me. Having that knowledge, we've seen that what our early teams are reporting is that their conversion rates have increased from like 27% to 43%. Now,
I knew it was a 15% increase. That I did know. I knew that.
I think that is wildly significant right there. So we want, and I think that as the software develops, and Marty, this is what's cool, because you and I are both AI junkies, right? So we are in development right now to where we are really hoping. Right now, our personality assessment's a nice little proprietary, fun little assessment. It's 2 to 3 minutes long. It's super easy. But we are hoping in the very near future to get to the phase where the client is going to have a 30-second long conversation with AI. And the AI in 30 seconds is literally going to be able to grasp enough of that client's personality and style to spit you out our very detailed reports without only inconveniencing that client for 30 seconds. And that I look and I'm like, my gosh, this is every agent out there should have the power of these types of softwares behind them. We've talked, and I know you are big on anointing your listings, right? I thought when I listened to that podcast, I was like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. Having this sort of exclamation point on the top of your listing saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. Well, agents need to be anointed too. I mean, to me, having these like designations, right? So having a designation, having the power of a bit of software like Yenta behind you, you are anointing yourself. I love that there's like a light bulb that just went off in your head. I see it. It's so cool.
Well, yeah, because does the property have an anointing on it? Does your agent have an anointing on them? Okay.
Anointed by little old Granny Yenta. All right. So do they have this extra knowledge? And that's why we go off and we have all this alphabet soup after our name, right? We go off and we pursue these designations and become experts in these fields. Just like you, I had my SRES. And I realized, just like you, hey, the phone is not my strength. So what did I end up doing? I work with my friend John. John is an SRS, and John will call me, Marky, as I'm driving down from upstate New York I live between upstate New York and DC. I'm driving down to DC, and John knows, and he will call me knowing that I'm in the car for 7 hours and he wants to talk because that's what he does. So he gets all of my, frankly, boomers. I love them, but I'm not great with them. So I let my SRES lapse. But having this sort of alphabet soup after your name does what for you? Well, it confuses the client sometimes, but it also indicates that, hey, we are trying to achieve a higher level of expertise. So does committing to software. that enables you to better understand how to communicate with that client.
100%. Now, one thing that hit me because we're launching the Midwest Home Match, kind of like myYenta, right?
Yeah.
How myYenta would impact our ability to facilitate better referrals if we understand the personality of every agent we're referring people to and the personality of that buyer would actually make for a better, more likely to close deal. Right.
That's the point. So we have, you and I know we belong to these huge real estate referral networks on social media, right? And every single time I see, oh, need an agent down in the Northern Virginia area, I literally will get, okay, here's 100 of this particular person because they have a lot of friends on Facebook who are in the industry and they're like, oh, yes, go over to him. Well, without knowing, so I will at that point, if I have a referral to send out, I will then call the agent and I will say, hey, listen, this person is an ENTJ. So they have this personality style. Here's their myYenta report. Can I Yenta you? Because frankly, I want to know that if I send that person the referral, that they're going to close the deal. And you know just as well as I do, a huge percentage of these referrals fizzle out. Because all you're doing is essentially a popularity contest on these online referral matching programs. So you'll get 15 posts saying, oh my God, work with Sally Realtor over here. Well, if Sally Realtor is a high D, okay, or I should say an ultra high I, let's say, they're a super extrovert, okay, and they're working with an ultra high SC, that's going to be a very tough deal. It's going to be a very tough deal. Well, I would rather hook them up with that engineer turned realtor and let that engineer SC the living hell out of this client, have a great experience with them. I get the call saying, Jay, thank you so much for hooking me up with Emily. They were amazing. They kicked butt and took names, and I've already given them their name out to 5 people. I mean, the power of personality science in real estate and frankly, in any professional medium is so gigantic that most of these major Fortune 500 companies have entire departments dedicated to what we do. We wanted to create a program that enables the entry-level professional. You know, our programs start, Marky, at $30 a month. So we are talking less than what I paid for my coffee this morning and my lunch total. Okay, I was in coffee and lunch for $31. So just don't go out for coffee and lunch once a month and you've paid for our monthly fee at the very start entry-level price point. So we wanted to make this so affordable that our goal is to ultimately raise the bar for communication in the entire industry. Rather than just dealing with the small local level, we want people to understand how to communicate with their clientele. And frankly, most people don't realize, and I'm sure you understand this. As a realtor, we have multiple clients, and it's not just the person buying the house. I consider, when I coach an agent, I tell them, listen, you have at least 3 clients in every deal. And they look at me kind of like I have 6 heads. I'm like, okay, client 1, your fiduciary. Should say customer, 3 customers and 1 client, 2 customers and 1 client. Your fiduciary, right? That is your particular individual that you are working with to help them buy or sell a home. You have other people whose opinion of you matters. You do a co-broke. If that co-broke agent loves working with Marky, how much easier is that deal to transact than it is when it gets down and dirty? I love working with those agents that have been in the mud with me, we've slogged it out and we've tried, rather than some of these other agents whose personality styles maybe I don't mesh up with. And their client is also someone that's going to have an objective opinion on you, right? So these 3 individuals make up that overall transactions positivity. Now, your fiduciary, obviously, that is the most important one because they're the ones that are going to be giving you referrals. But Marky, you've done this longer than I have. How many times have you gotten a referral that was from someone who you co-broked a sale through that ended up coming to you when they went to do another real estate transaction because they either liked you better or their other realtor hadn't kept in touch with them?
Oh, yeah, it happens. And let me say this. There are even some real estate agents in the city of Chicago that because of how they work, you can go on a listing appointment. Like I can think of a certain style house in a certain area that I knew that this person would want to buy that house. So I would leave the listing appointment, call that agent. Hey, I got so-and-so coming to the market, right? Do you want to take a look at it? You want to get, the first look on this property? And they would say yes, right? Because I already knew they were going to close the deal. It was going to be a great deal, right? But I was going to put that property into the MLS first because I still wanted to get my seller the highest and best offer.
Correct. But see, that is knowing, like you said, that client in the other realtor. I'm exclusively a real estate flipper in upstate New York now. So I don't actually practice real estate anymore in upstate New York. I am exclusively a flipper. But right now, out of my 11 flips, 5 of them are pending using agents whom I contacted and said, hey, I have a house coming in X market, and I know you work that market, you work that style. Do you have someone? And sure enough, they're, yes, please. And obviously, just like you, we'll expose it to market simply because you want that MLS exposure. But 5 of them literally went to those people because they were in there 5 minutes after the house hit the MLS. They were the first offer. They were the, strongest for whatever reason that I needed it to be. And it worked. But that is why communication style is so critical to understand on so many levels. Think like board of directors. Think board of directors. If your board of directors in Chicago, in your Chicago area of realtors, had everybody's personalities before they ever even started off their tenure as a board member, how much easier would these meetings be? And that's what we've been doing. We've been meeting with these MLSs now, Marky, and it's fascinating because I'm like, listen, let us Yenta your board of directors before we come in for our meeting. And it is amazing because there are very disparate personality types on these boards. Because there's always the big, powerful, ultra high extroverted realtors. But usually on these board of directors, there is also a contingency of very engineering type mentalities whose success is derived not from the power of their entrepreneurship and their personality. It is instead derived from their discipline and their very, very good way of recruiting and, lead generating. So these personality types traditionally clash. And a lot of times it takes these corporate retreats, it takes these days, it takes months in order for these board of directors to gel. So we look at that and say, all right, now our goal is to really take it from the agent level. We want to continue helping agents, but we've realized that actually this is so much bigger than just. I don't want to say just because I love agents. They're my babies. I love my agents. But we want to look at the MLSs themselves and say, hey, how can we all partner together to make communication better everywhere? Everywhere. And I mean, your Chicago area of realtors, how big is the Chicago area of realtors? You're like 20?
Well, let me say this. So the Chicago Association of Realtors is at 17. But the Main Street Organization of Realtors is probably closer to 20. So we're the second largest association in the state of Illinois. So there are 37-ish thousand realtor members in the Chicagoland area.
In the Chicagoland area.
Yes. And what's funny when you said that, I do serve on the board of directors of the Chicago Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors. And there are some definitely distinct personalities on those boards. And sometimes you make an assumption where if you clearly knew what their personality was, you would probably focus more on finding a way to resolve any conflict because you distinctly know that their personality is different than yours.
Exactly. And see, Marky, so that's where ultimately I see our organization's power really being very handy is at these higher levels. And we're working with some MLSs right now on creating these fabulous custom plans for their entire MLS so that they can offer that. And what's been really neat, Marky, is that nowadays, even the MLSs, I did not realize, are competing with each other for their membership. So in our area, in the greater DMV area, there are 4 or 5 MLSs that literally all border each other. And so you can choose to be a member of X MLS versus Y MLS. Some people are members of both. And what we look at now is, all right, Mr. and Mrs. MLS executive, think about competitive advantage. If you were able to offer Yenta as a service that came along with your Realtor membership, your MLS membership, my goodness, how cool is that you can say, hey, you join up with us instead of, hey, this neighbor. You have the advanced ability to communicate with your clients more effectively right in your MLS dues. And it is, I am so excited. And I'm naturally just a very animated human being anyway. So I apologize if I sound extra cheesy and dorky today. But to me, knowing that, I mean, I've been a speaker, I've been an educator, I've been a coach in this business for it'll be 20 years coming up soon.
Congratulations.
Marky, well, how long have you been doing it? 30, right?
26.
26. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I look and I'm like, if you are in this past 2 years, congratulations, you are amazing. But to me, I love this industry so much. And I look and say, hey, how can I leave a positive impact on the industry that I love before I leave it? You know, before I leave this earth, because you all know realtors don't retire. We just die.
Yes, that's the truth.
And it's the truth. I know several that just don't have a retirement account, and that's why they can't retire. There are those of us that love it so much, but do have the retirement to deal with. That just, I'm going to do this till the day I die, right? But I want to leave it a better place. And this is how I see myself doing that. And that's what the best thing to me about all of this is when I was being raised, I was raised in a big Middle Eastern family. And my mom is one of my best friends to this day. Shout out Mama Groah. It's special education for 35 years, recently retired, really just a powerful, powerful human being. And she always said, Jason, because my legal name is Jason. Nobody actually knows that except my husband and my mom, pretty much. She says, Jason, if you can find something that you are passionate about and good at, that you can monetize and turn into work, you'll never actually work a day in your life. And this is a woman who spent 35 years in special ed.
Yes, and she loved it.
And she adored it. And that is the best thing, honestly, about this. I love real estate, right, Marky? But what I've realized is that this is so much more powerful. And the impact that I get to have on realtors' lives, because I am making them more money. I am making realtors more money. And as an educator and as a coach, right? That is one of the things that we strive to do. But it's so different as an educator and a coach where you're making suggestions and you're saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. And how many times do they actually take our advice?
Less than 10% of the time.
Less than 10% of the time. Well, if you have a service where it's literally got to send this link over to this client so that I organize myself better, and your admin does that for you if you're a team leader or you're just programmed to do it, guess what? It is 100% applied. And I'm looking going, oh my gosh, this is that thing that I've always wanted to do. I've wanted to help realtors, right? Help the real estate. I don't even want to specify realtors. I wanted to help the real estate community grow. And now I have a platform to do that. It is the best, and I know you get this because you love being up in front of people and embracing your power up in front of an audience. I've seen you. You're absolutely, forgive my French, fucking electric, right? Okay.
Thank you very
Oh
much.
God, like literally adore you. And that's how I want to be that in the real estate communication, professional communication industry. I want to get up on that stage with this horrible wig, though hopefully, I'll be able to afford a better one. Do a cartwheel, strip down, start off as little old lady Yenta, wow the heck out of everybody, and then share my passion for helping realtors communicate on a whole nother level with the world.
Well, I believe that myYenta is definitely needed in our industry for increasing, get this, your productivity, stop wasting time, leveraging it on referral transactions, and then also identifying when you aren't a good fit because you do owe your clients undivided loyalty. Jay, if people want to use myYenta, can you spell the website and how would they connect with you in order to get some of their time back and sell more?
Oh, yes. It is myYenta.com. So it's myYenta, YENTA.com. Super easy. We do offer a 30-day free trial. And for all of you MLS executives out there, I have the best team, Marky. I have the best team. Now, I'm an elder millennial. So I'm one of those like late adopters to some of this AI. And I have two nerds in my C-suite. And one of them is 31, and he is the biggest nerd I've ever dealt with. He's my development director, right? So, and my marketing guy is 22. Okay, so these my C-suite boys are literally 22, 31, and me, the elder millennial. And to me, surrounding myself with these young, powerful, brilliant minds. Like, we have made this so easy for people because my brilliant nerds are working with me. And while I like to think of myself as tech savvy and nerdy, I'm getting old, baby cakes, and I'm getting a little bit behind. So these guys have made it so simple for people to sign up, and we have a 30-day free trial. So you don't even have to commit. You can literally try us out for 30 days, but I guarantee you, all you have to do is get our report once, and you're like, oh God. I mean, our reports are magnificent and extensive. They will tell you, Marky, how to communicate with that client, how not to communicate with that client, the gifts you should give that client, how often you should communicate with that client, what style data sheets you should give that client. Like, literally, we break this down so that you will look so damn good to that client that there ain't no way that they're going to fall in love with you and give you a referral. Or conversely, that you realize this ain't a fit and you can turn it over to someone to whom they are a great match and make an easy, wonderful referral fee and a happy client.
And it's all about the client. It is not
client.
It is not about us. Jay, give everybody that website again. I want you to go and I want you to try out myYenta. You get a 30-day free trial to try this out on you, your team, your buyers, your sellers, the landlord, the tenant, and make a honest assessment. I believe in these tools because I know that they work and I know that they increase your sales. So you're going to go over to myYenta.
myYenta.com, myYenta, YENTA.com.
And try it out.
Try it out. That's all we can ask, Marky. But I know that I hope that they find it as powerful a tool as I have in my career.
They will, Jay. I appreciate you for your time and your energy or your passion today, for being a guest here, and for sharing a tool and resource that is needed in our industry in order to be more productive in less time. Thank you
so much for having us on, my friend.